Hi, I'm Miller Williams, and I'm going to be giving a presentation for the Legislative Act PowerPoint for our outdoor recreation class. And I first want to start with saying there was an exploration of environmental degradation and resource exploitation in the early industrial area. And so this is a lot of the reason that these acts were brought up, and a lot of the reason that we're highlighting the need for intervention and to address emerging environmental issues. And there were so many acts to choose from, which is so cool, seeing that our country and environments are trying to make this world a better place and make our local environments a better place. And I think that our federal, state, and local legislation do such a great job of this. I first want to start talking about the National Environment Policy Act, also known as NEPA. This act started in the 1970s. There was growing concerns of environmental degradation, pollution, and ecological impacts. And when these concerns came up, they brought these to a higher standard and thought that this needed to be looked at. NEPA was introduced in response to the public's demand for a comprehensive approach to an environmental policy. So the public saw that this needed to be helped with, and so they took an approach with this. The impact that this had was so big. The Council on Environmental Quality was established, and it mandated environmental impact assessments for federal projects shaping the future legislation. The next act I want to talk about is the Yellowstone Park Act. So this act started in 1871. There were increasing concerns about the potential for commercial exploitation, which this would include logging, mining, and tourism, which could threaten the unique and fragile ecosystem of the region. And I think all of us know now how beautiful the Yellowstone Park is, and whether we've seen it in person or in pictures. And when this act was introduced, they saw how beautiful this was, and they wanted to be able to keep up the naturalness of this place. And many influenced people began to play a huge role in building the public awareness for the region's unique features, and Congress recognized there needed to be an act to protect the Yellowstone Park. And so this bill was sponsored by Senator Samuel C. Pomeroy of Kansas. And then President Ulysses S. Grant recognized the significance of the legislation and signed the act into law on March 1st of 1872. And so this impacts our world greatly today because the park has been preserved and has led to the establishment of the world's first national park, which is so cool. And it's influencing the development of broader systems and preserving natural heritage, not only just in the Yellowstone Park, but in parks around. The last act I want to talk about is the Clean Water Act, also known as the CWA of 1972. So leading up to the 1970s, there was a lot of water pollution in lakes, rivers, and large bodies of waters in the United States. And so in 1969, the Santa Barbara oil spill highlighted the degradation occurring in the environment, in the water. And so after this happened, there was a movement that gained momentum in the 1960s that increased the concern of the polluted water. This act, the Clean Water Act, was introduced as the Federal Water Pollution Control Act Amendment in 1972 first, and then Congress debated it back and forth, and then President Nixon signed a Clean Water Act on October 19th of 1972. The CWA has had a huge impact on our world today, making our water pollution not as big of a problem And the CWA also has helped create sewage treatment plans and protections for wetlands, which is so awesome. In conclusion, each legislation has had to make changes that are for the good of the people in the U.S., and it keeps us safer and in more of a clean environment. These acts that have been passed have impacted our world greatly in such a positive light, and they all demonstrate the cumulative impact of the federal, state, and local legislation on the environment, and I think it's really cool.